Hey guys, it's Hybrid.
And this is White Sheep.
And this is Comic Book Versus number 46.
46.
Sorry for the delay. It's just that for these characters, we went through quite the trouble to get information on them. So
Yeah, as you can see, this is the Darkness versus Spawn. And while some of you may know the Darkness from video games and Spawn from that really crappy late 90s movie, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
These aren't exactly the most well-known characters out there. I mean, usually we can find readily available internet info about Batman, Superman. Heck, even Wildcat has a shit ton more info on the internet. So we actually had to do a lot of database diving, resource scrounging. Josh, he went through a lot for this stuff, so thank him very much.
Yeah,
I guess thank me too.
For Spawn, I actually had to go to a bookstore. Believe it or not, they still have those. And I actually had to read on the new Spawn, because originally we were going to have All Simmons Spawn versus Agent Venom. But then, we did more research. We thought, a better fit would be the Darkness. And then we did more research, and we found out that as of 2011, Al Simmons is not Spawn anymore. Spawn is now a new person named Jim Downing. And for some reason, there's almost no information on him anywhere online. It's the weirdest thing. So we actually had to go into the comic books and get the information out of him that way. But luckily, he wears the same suit as Al Simmons, so his powers are essentially the same, minus personally enhanced things that Al Simmons received. So that's the nice thing about that.
Yeah, Spawn is really one of those. I mean, I still think Al Simmons is the dude. Everyone thinks Al Simmons is
of course, because he was the first.
Yeah, no, it's like one of those things. It's like Robin. Well, actually, I was gonna say Robin, but that's a bad example.
Not really. A lot of people consider Dick Grayson the best Robin, mostly because he was the first Robin. Because most of the awesome stuff he did was when he became Nightwing. So,
well, you can shut the hell up.
We're not gonna go into the whole Robin thing later now.
All right. I have the Darkness. Josh has Spawn.
Yes, I do.
And am I going first this time, or are you?
I believe you're going first.
Fantastic. I will take it and run with it. So, this is, of course, Jackie Estacado, the Darkness, as we know him as. The Darkness was originally created... actually, hold on. I don't have an exact date on it.
By our homeboy over at Top Cow.
Yes, all of our homies at Top Cow actually created the Darkness. It was like a dream team. It was Mark Silvestri, Garth Ennis, David Wohl, some of Top Cow's biggest, best and brightest here were in on the creation of the Darkness.
Very successful too.
Exactly. This is one of those that actually really put the Darkness on the map. Or this is one of those that really put Top Cow on the map. I'm really tired. It's like
we're both tired. Midnight. I just got done seeing Godzilla twice. That was an experience in its own.
This and Witchblade, I think, are the two things that actually put Top Cow on the map, or in terms of they cemented them. And this was one, the legendary Mark Silvestri had a hand in. But in short, of course, this is Jackie Estacado, and he actually he's the wielder of this Darkness, or the Darkness. And the Darkness is passed on from father to son, and basically it's passed on instantly at the moment of conception. So basically, whenever you're getting it on, you make a little Darkness baby, you, as the wielder of the Darkness, die. So his father died, and his father actually pretty much abused the Darkness and used it in the criminal underground. And sometimes after, basically, he was the son of Jackie, the wielder of the Darkness that we're talking about right now. He was the son of a prostitute, and so his dad was banging a prostitute one day, and then along comes Jackie, and Danny ends up dying. So, yeah, basically, it's kind of funny because the Darkness actually, the way he died is sort of a drawback, because the Darkness actually, it protects you like a suit of armor, and so I guess he got shot, and the suit of armor wasn't there to protect him. So, but yeah, so basically, he had a lot of troubles as a kid. I could go into a lot more detail, but basically just a track record of, violence. He was actually pretty protective, but he was also just a ruthless kid. And eventually, it all starts at around his 21st birthday. His powers manifest suddenly, and the Darkness, basically scratches its way out. And he basically, after that, just becomes this super powered dude, ruthless, He is nobody's bitch like Jet Li in the one. But it's kind of funny, just the degree to what he can do with this power is incredible. And his story is still being written, really. Yeah, I could go on and on and on about who Jackie Estacado is, but really great character, really interesting. Top Cow and Image always tend to do that for me. It's, very, very interesting sort of stories that you wouldn't expect anywhere else, like Marvel and DC. I don't think they could really cut it at any of those other comic companies. So let me just go ahead and dive right into who he is and what he can do. And his abilities. The darkness gives him superhuman strength, speed, durability, senses, healing, flight, shape-shifting. He can create things, which is really cool, and I'll go into that a little bit later. He has telepathy, he's a skilled marksman, and an extremely skilled combatant, and of course his equipment is the darkness. His strength, so let's just go right into this. His strength is 100 plus tons with the darkness. He can lift 100 tons, full 7 bars, 100 plus tons with the darkness. And really, basically, his set of powers is this darkness that manifests within him and I guess externally manifests as well. Just boosts him up ridiculously. Jesus. Like I said, he can lift over 100 tons. He's able to punch Superman so hard that he bled from that one punch. He can lift and throw cars, and he removed the top half of a tank without effort.
That comic, when he crossed over Superman, was actually a pretty cool comic, I'm not going to lie.
Oh, no, absolutely. It was fantastic. His speed is supersonic with when he's flying, and that's 5 bars, so still pretty quick there. He can run faster than most vehicles, and he can also fly at superhuman speed. His intelligence is gifted. Now, the darkness actually grants him a good bit of intelligence, and that right there, I think, is 4 bars, max gifted. It's not like he's a super genius, but it's a nice little perk. His fighting, he's experienced. I believe that's 3 bars?
4
bars, so great all around.
CJ's doing this on his phone, so props
I am.
to him.
That's why I'm swiping back and forth. My computer is giving me a ton of issues right now. He's experienced. He has a large amount of experience in combat and firearms, just to Jackie being a really skilled hitman, and his activities during his experience as the Darkness. So he's basically, it's not one of those where it's like he's actually been classically trained. It's more like a learn on the fly thing. But because he's been around for so long and just kicking ass and taking names, he's pretty well skilled. His durability, he is actually indestructible. I believe that's the full 7 bars.
Yep.
He's extremely durable and can heal from essentially any wound with seemingly no wound. And the energy projection, and this is where it gets really, really interesting, and I think it tips the scales in his favor. Full 7 bars, all forms of energy projection, and that is because you kind of think it's like, hey, he's just made out of darkness. What is that? Well, actually, he can use that darkness to essentially be a stone cold badass and just start creating all this shit. In addition to all these powers, the enhanced strength, the speed, the energy constructs, he can also shapeshift his armor to any shape, appearance, and density he wants. And as I mentioned, he can summon creatures, but it's not just like 1 or 2 little goons to help him. He can summon an army of dark demons, which he leads and can control if he wants. And his only real weakness, I mean, I guess it's not like one of those things with the Fantastic Four where it's like the radiation hit him and it changed them and the radiation's gone. This power actually comes from an entity that dwells within himself, so it's ever present. And in that way, a lot of you might be thinking, hey, if the entity, the darkness, is actually subdued in any way, he'd be pretty vulnerable. And that is actually probably the case, because the darkness's only weakness is light, and the darkness's powers can only function in the absence of light, and he can only use those powers when there is no light. So basically, if he steps out into a sunny afternoon day, all he is a badass hitman guy. He doesn't have any of the dark creation powers that he has when he is in the darkness. However, I do think that is actually not going to be a big factor in this matchup, and I will tell you exactly why once Josh goes ahead and does his piece.
Okay, so I have Spawn. Like I said earlier in the beginning, this is the new Spawn, because as always, we do the most recent version of these characters, and his name is Jim Downing. Now, a little bit of background on him. He's quite different from Al Simmons in a sense where he actually was an angel in heaven until he attempted to assassinate God. In response to that, God banished him to Earth, took all of his memory away, and yeah, he was just kind of there. Now, when Al Simmons lost his symbiotic suit, the Spawn suit, which is real name K7 Letha, which stands for like his designation, all that stuff, Jim Downing actually received it, becoming the second Spawn. Now, from what I've read, even without the Spawn suit, he has some angelic power still. Obviously, I couldn't read every Jim Downing Spawn comic because there's quite a bit of them from 2011 onward, but I did read as much as I can. And from that, the abilities he has are superhuman strength, speed, durability, senses, healing, shapeshifting, flight, teleportation, invisibility, energy projection, and he's a skilled combatant. And like I said, his equipment is the suit K7 Letha. So let's get into his stats a little bit. His strength is 100 plus tons. Now his baseline strength is approximately 85 tons, but by drawing upon more necroplasm, which is what the suit's made out of, he can actually raise his strength to almost limitless levels. And Spawn's done stuff before, like throw a whole building, for example, and not just like throw it like 2 feet, like he threw it upwards, like slanted upwards at an opponent. So that does take some considerable amount of strength. His speed is he could fly at presumably supersonic levels. It's not like clocked or anything, he's not racing all the time, but he can also teleport, so I put some full bars just for that sheer fact. Now his intelligence, it's normal. I'm sure when he was an angel in heaven, he probably had a lot more intelligence, but due to the fact that his mind was kind of erased, he would have what would be presumed a normal intelligence. Like, he's just smart enough to, I guess, kind of be normal, I guess that makes sense. Now, his fighting is experience, I have to give Jim Downing props in the, fighting category, because as soon as he became Spawn, tons of people that fought the original Spawn, Al Simmons, came at him, trying to take him down, and he beat them. And that's a pretty big feat, because these people, a lot of them were, demon related. They already had knowledge on how to fight Spawn. So the fact that he still beat them, being inexperienced at the time, speaks a lot to his ability to fight. So props to him there. Now his durability, he is what would be invincible, full bars. Now the reason is because he can essentially withstand any attack, as he technically doesn't really have a body anymore due to basically how Spawn works is that once you become a host of the suit is basically your body. So you don't have any organs at all. You're really just a necroplasm at this point. So all wounds are, and since it's a demonic suit, it's somewhat magical. So all wounds he has will be just healed magically in an instant. But from what I've read, he can still feel pain somewhat. So if you were to stab him, he'd be like, but he wouldn't be, dying or bleeding out, for example. So energy though, it is 5 stars. It's not the full 7. Initially, I thought it would be the full 7, but with further reading, I found out it actually isn't. So Spawn can actually project necroplasm from his suit, and he can also absorb the energy from other living things, which can strengthen the suit, which is pretty cool. And for his extras, he can shape the necroplasm he has into anything he can imagine. A big part of Spawn, if you look up Spawn anywhere, they always say his imagination is his limitation. And that's true, because the necroplasm can essentially do whatever he wants, thought process wise. Now the suit will also work when he's unconscious, which is pretty cool. So if he gets knocked out, for example, somehow, the suit could just keep on going, and it feeds on souls. So if Jim Downing has a soul, or not Jim Downing, so if the darkness has a soul, technically, in a sense, Spawn could eat that soul. And also he has the uncanny ability to heal people. A lot of that is due to the fact that that Jim Downing was an angel. Also, before he actually became the new Spawn, he was healing people, kind of nonstop, and he couldn't even control it. He just him. That's
How do you
just
get the
who he
name
is.
Jim Downing, by the way? I've always been curious.
Yeah.
Was it sort of like a Donald Blake situation where he was kind of like, I like the sound of that. But and to speak to your soulless thing real quick, actually, I'm not sure if it has a soul or not. I'm not sure if that's ever stated. I'm gonna guess no, but
I would assume no, due to his origins. His power set. I'd assume if he had a soul, it'd be gone by now.
If there's even such a thing.
Yeah,
but we'll see.
Spawn's also immortal and has the ability to actually also teleport, not only, from like place 1 to place B, but he could teleport across dimensions, like Earth to hell, Earth to heaven, heaven to hell, things like that. Which is pretty cool, I guess, in a sense. But it wouldn't really help you in a fight.
That's cool.
But, like, not a fight against the darkness, but I guess, if you want vacation to, hell, just teleport over there.
Sounds legit.
Sounds legit. Yes, it does. Too legit to quit.
I don't know. This winter, I might have taken them up on that.
Yeah, it was pretty cold. Now it's really hot.
Yeah, no, it's worse where I am, buddy. You just don't even talk.
I'm exactly where you are.
Right now. We're confusing people. All right.
I think we're confusing ourselves. It's like...
It's past 12 in the morning.
We've somehow recorded this overnight into the morning. How that happened, I don't know.
I always knew our videos were long, Josh. But this is ridiculous.
Yeah. So do you want to go first and then I rebut you, or do you want me to go first and then you rebut me?
I will rebut you first, then you can rebut my rebuttal, and then we'll have little closing statements.
Alright. So the reason why I think Spawn will beat the Darkness is just due to the sheer fact that Spawn is not limited by, daytime. And, due to that, he has a lot more flexibility in this fight. Because, it's just like Superman with Kryptonite. He has that one weakness, but tons of opponents have exploited that. And, I know a traditional weakness of Spawn was that whole counter system, but the suit doesn't have that anymore. So you can't really use that against him. So he just keep on going, which is legit. Not legit, but that's awesome. Also, in a sense, you can't kill him. Like, I know the Darkness is pretty durable, but you can still damage him and potentially kill him. There's essentially no possible way you can kill Spawn. His whole body is necroplasm, so as long as there's a part of him left, he can just keep on coming back.
However, if I remember correctly, Spawn actually does have a limit to how much necroplasm he can use. He has a limited supply, so in that case, the Darkness would only need to hold out against him for so long. And if I remember correctly, when he runs out of necroplasm, he actually gets teleported back to hell.
No, I'm saying that counter is removed.
It is?
Yeah, because the necroplasm was magical, and that went into his magical counter, where if he used too much necroplasm, he had to go back to hell, but he doesn't have that anymore.
Fair point. Continue.
Okay, but anyways, but moving on, just... See, the problem with Jim Downing is that he's not that popular of a character in a sense where people read Jim Downing. People read Spawn, but the character of Jim Downing himself doesn't seem to have a lot of fan support. I went on various forums, and he only had one forum for him, and it only had 2 posts. And that's it. And that was supposed to be his respect forum, his big fan service forum. So the problem with that is, from what I also read, and a lot of what I read about Jim Downing's Spawn wasn't the recent issues, but the issues that he was first kind of introduced in. So in regards to his history of being an angel, that's not really explored. And I tried checking that out in the more recent ones. I tried looking it up. I talked to a few people, and from what I've learned, he hasn't really expressed his angelic abilities, so to speak, which I would assume would do some damage against the Darkness. Instead, he's just been really staying with the Spawn suit, which is demonic, obviously. So I don't know. I just think for the sheer fact of his durability, it'd be really hard to... Actually, it'd be essentially impossible to kill Spawn. Let's just think about it like this. The original Spawn, Al Simmons, with the suit, was able to get so powerful that he took out God and Satan.
Pretty much.
Now, that's a pretty big feat. Now, I'm not saying, obviously, that Jim Downing can do that, but I'm just saying the potential is there. And I don't know about the Darkness, but I don't think he has that high of a potential. And I know I'm talking about potential, and that's not really going to, in a random fight against the two, potential's not going to, win it all. But I just think, if you look at these characters' abilities, neither one of them is just going to go down. This fight could literally go on forever, because I don't see how one character could just straight up kill the other character. But I think what would have to happen here is that one character would just have to magically, or mystically, whatever you want to call it, they would just have to get more powerful than the other one. And I think in regards to that, Spawn has the greater potential to just getting more powerful, just sheerly more powerful than the Darkness, and being able, through that to just obliterate him.
I mean, it's one of those things where I don't think either of these characters has really ever been really beaten, like to death beaten. I mean, basically the only way Jackie Estacado can die, the only way the darkness will let him die, is through more or less, if he actually, it's through his own will. Like, he has to get somebody pregnant with a child, and that way he more or less actually commits suicide, pretty much, or the darkness kills him and goes into the little baby darkness. But to be honest, I'm not sure. I agree with you. This isn't one of those fights where somebody would just go down. And to me, the light thing isn't really an issue because he's been able to get out of that time and time again. Like, he's not going to come at you in daylight. And also, Spawn, I believe he has a little bit of a history with light, too. I don't think it affects him as much. But
he does. And
yeah,
there's certain things like the green zone where his powers don't work there.
Yeah. So there are weaknesses on both sides, and Jackie is actually, he got around the light thing at one point. Like, one time they tried to shine some of these guys tried to shine a bunch of lights on him, and he actually used his creatures. He made these bat things that were still in the darkness and then went and wrecked the lights.
Can we talk about that for a bit? His creatures?
His creatures?
Because I read the Superman crossover he did, and Bromigo over there, the darkness, was legitimately just riding on a dragon. Like, it was nothing.
Pretty much.
Like he was just chilling out on a dragon.
And that's the thing about the darkness, is the darkness, we don't know the limits of its power. It's basically darkness itself. Like, it's darkness incarnate. So we don't know exactly. It's sort of just like we don't know, like, Spawn's limits. We don't really know the darkness's limits either. And so it's one of those cases. But yeah, I mean, you can create a bunch of dragons if you wanted to.
I feel like Spawn and the darkness, they wouldn't actually fight each other. I feel like they'd see each other and they just bro up. Like, they'd go to a bar.
Although, I mean, Spawn did kill, like you said, he killed God, he killed Satan.
But that was the first Spawn too.
Yeah, so now he's trying to destroy Simmons is trying to destroy the entire world or something. But
the original Spawn, in case the viewers don't know, they haven't been reading Spawn, he's evil now.
Yeah, he went bad.
So, yeah. Kind of confusing for a lot of people I know, but yeah, Al Simmons isn't coming back anytime soon.
Yeah, no, he's, well, at least not the Al Simmons Spawn that we know and love. But I really hate it when our matchups come down like this to something where it's like, well, I guess it's just gonna be a draw. But
yeah,
honestly,
it sucks because usually it's a case where one character has an edge over the other, and then the other one has an edge over that one too. So we're like, okay, in that sense, it probably would be a draw. But in this case, neither one of them could just die. So
true. I don't think either of them would actually die unless Spawn is like, you know what, you're gonna knock a bitch up during this fight.
And neither one of them also can really be knocked out either. So this fight would just have to end with them just getting tired of fighting each other. Essentially.
Or eventually being like, you know what, we could work together.
And yeah, like I'm saying, they'd probably just, be like, oh, this is stupid. This isn't going anywhere. Yeah. Let's go get some drinks.
To be honest, I blame this one on the internet. And you know why I blame it on the internet? Because nobody really knows anything, especially about Jim Downing. It's one of those things where we don't exactly know what his angelic powers would potentially give. Like, what sort of leg up that would give him against Jackie Estacado. We really don't know, because it hasn't been demonstrated
The
yet.
Funny thing is, I could see, let's say Spawn finds a way to kill the darkness. It'd be hilarious if his natural, angelic healing ability just resurrects the darkness. That would be really funny to me.
That would actually, and that might be how it happens. We'll get started writing this crossover comic for you, Image.
We can do it.
We got it. Josh has got it. He's got a pretty good track record with writing.
Thank you.
But
yeah, we kind of went off topic, but I think
we did. It's because I would love to just argue circles about how the creatures.
Yeah,
in all honesty, Spawn. I mean, I don't think there's any. You can make the argument. It's like, could the darkness create a dark version of Spawn, like a darkness creature,
that'd
a darkling Spawn?
Could it reproduce another suit?
Just an army of darkling spawns. But
actually, one thing that got me was the fact that I remember this from the Spawn comics. There's an anti-Spawn, which is essentially the angels have their own version of the Spawn suit. Like, instead of a demonic one, it's an angelic one.
That'd be cool.
That's one thing that always interests me about Jim Downing, because as soon as I learned he was an angel from heaven, I was like, so why isn't he just anti-Spawn, basically, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you would think his angel abilities would just cancel out the Spawn suit, but it doesn't. Which is
Man,
obviously great, because, you know, that kind of sucked being Spawn, and then you just cancel out your own abilities.
It's so much more metal this way, Josh.
Yeah, but no, I think the big problem here, and the reason why we can't really debate this as well and as much as we usually would love to, is because it's these people's power sets. And a lot of it's because of how, not religious, but how magically based it is.
Yeah.
You know, with demons and angels, stuff like that, because those type of beings essentially are limitless in power, just by concept. You know, like when you're dealing with things like God, the devil, you know, the power levels you're dealing with are usually too high to, you know, to measure, to like categorize. So, you know, it's one of those cases that it's just, and this is why it took us so long to make this too, is because after we got all the information about the characters, which was hard enough as is, we had a really hard time just, you know, really executing this discussion, this debate here for Comic Book Versus, because we were like, this really would end in the ultimate stalemate.
Pretty much. It's one of those, it's sort of, to me, this reminds me the most of like Anti-Monitor versus Galactus. It's...
Well, at least Anti-Monitor had the...
no, and
the
both
debate
of them
going
are...
from where he eats universes and stuff.
Galactus only eats planets. Yeah, no, I get it. But I mean, to be honest, it's I think in terms of power level, they might not be so cosmically powered, but just in terms of the upper limit is unknown, I think.
Yeah.
That might ultimately force our hands and make us call it a stalemate. So we're gonna let you decide, of course. In the comments, let us know who you think would win, Spawn or the Darkness. It really could go either way to me. And with that, I think we should wrap it up. I'm
Use the
torn.
wisdom of Solomon.
I feel unfulfilled.
Yeah, I do too. And that really stinks. This is the first time I think we've both felt really underwhelmed with
and
our
you didn't play
matchup.
Devil's Advocate this time. Really?
Yeah,
I'm
well,
impressed.
Thank you. But
Surprisingly, in the matchup that includes Hell, you're not playing Devil's Advocate.
Why, thank you, CJ.
Good for you, Josh. All right. Shall we sign off then?
I think we can. The next matchup will be next Friday. I can't remember what it is, though.
Neither can I.
But
I'll
I
get
know
back to
we
you
will
on it.
not be as stalemated as this one. That's for
Probably
sure.
not. Absolutely.
So if you guys actually don't like that we were this stalemated, sorry about that, but it was bound to happen eventually. Like, you know, since we first started the series, people have been wanting Spawn. You know, I understand why, but it's hard, you know, like I said, because of the character's power set. You know, to fit within the rules, confines of the show. So, you know, we did the best we could with the matchup for Spawn. So I hope the wait was somewhat worth it, at least. I hope we educated you.
Yes.
I hope you guys go read The Darkness. And speaking of Top Cow, you know, they're a great company. We met the president. Is it Matt Hawkins, president?
Matt Hawkins, I believe he is the president.
And I think CEO also. But we met
Josh
him. We interviewed him. He's a great guy. I personally
Josh has
think
a man crush
great
on Matt Hawkins.
Yes, my comic book man crush right there.
Yep.
You know, he won me as soon as he said he had a physics degree.
Yeah.
You know,
Anyways,
the engineer in me was just melting.
literally talk nerdy to me. All right. Only we can change the fact that this was a stalemate. That means you, me, of course, Josh, but everybody out there on the internet. Go read Think Tank, but go read Darkness, Spawn, and start putting information on the internet for people like us.
Yeah,
anyways.
please, someone go read Jim Downing's Spawn, because he's done a lot of great stuff as Spawn. And I feel like it's being really underappreciated. So, yeah, go read Jim Downing's Spawn, and, you know, contribute to forums and all that stuff. I know I'm going to start doing that. Like, I do the same thing with Exo Manowar, because there wasn't a lot of stuff going on for Exo Manowar, and, you know, slowly his fan base has been building up, and I think the same thing needs to happen for Jim Downing.
Anyways.
The dude's been around since 2011. It's about time, you know, like...
I hear that.
It's about time.
All right, folks. Officially signing off. This is the White Sheep, a.k.a. CJ.
This is Hybrid, a.k.a. Josh.
All right. And we will see you next week.
Adios.